Hi. Well, I want to thank the Business Club and Julia for organizing this, and all of you for coming out. Now, to get started, I'm actually going to have you participate a little bit. And rather than show your hands, I want you to stand up for these 3 questions if your answer is yes. Now, how many of you have lost a job or have a direct family member or a close friend who has lost a job? Just stand up if that's true. No, recently, obviously recently right now. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you. Sit down. Okay. How many of you can remember 4 years ago when house prices were going up about 33% a year and selling so fast it made your head spin? If you can remember that, stand up. Okay. All right. Okay. Some of you have bad memories. Okay. All right. And now the third question. Now, say I've got a deal for you. You're all in the business club. And the deal is that I'm going to give you $100,000 with no interest. You're not going to have to pay any interest on the $100,000. All you have to do is put $10,000 up to get it and start a new business this year. And you will have to pay it back over 10 years, $10,000 a year. So how many of you are willing to take that deal? Stand up. All right. A few people are. Okay. Now, how many of you, stay standing, how many of you expect that you'd be able to pay that, based off your profits this year, be able to pay back that $10,000, or do you think you'd have to eat it out of your own earnings a little bit this year? So if you can pay it out of your profits this year, stay standing. If you think you'd have to eat it out of your own earnings, sit down.
Pay it back in 1 year, or pay it back over 10 years?
Just this next year. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So now my point here is that is to try to get at something that Keynes was trying to allude to, which happens. We're in the middle of the worst financial crisis this country has had since the 1930s, and it's far worse than what we had when President Reagan became president in the early 1980s. Household debt in this country has now, as a percent of GNP or GDP. And I'm assuming you all know a little bit about economics, but that's one measure of the economy, is now 100% of GDP. The last time it was 100%, this is household debt, non-corporate debt. The last time it was including mortgages, credit cards, and stuff like that. The last time it was 100% of GDP was 1929. When Kennedy was elected president, had dropped to less than half of GDP. When Ronald Reagan was elected president, it stood just below, or right around 50%. When George W. Bush became president, it was just short of 70%. Over the last 8 years, it has shot up tremendously. Total private debt was above 200% of GDP by 1933. In 1981, it was 123%, and today it's about 290% of GDP. We have a lot of private debt going on in this country. And there are 2 elements of things you want to think about here. Now, one is what the monetary policy can do. What they've done is, when we had a bunch of banks that nearly went belly up in the fall, and the Fed simply infused a lot of cash into those banks, and as a consequence, we were able to forestall that. We still have a potential problem, which I'll probably talk about a bit later, about zombie banks, which are banks that are essentially, if you were to sell off their assets, they'd be bankrupt. And we have to really seriously consider about the government becoming much more active about this, including John McCain on Fox News on Sunday was talking about the fact that we may need to be more active in terms of taking over banks temporarily and then infusing new capital into them. But the other part of it is the stimulus package, which has just passed Congress, and is a very important thing. Now, John Maynard Keynes, who wrote the general theory in the 1930s, made a very important point, and that is, was related to my earlier questions. And that is, when businesses hire, they hire on the basis of expected demand. There's a lot of, but they don't know what the future is going to hold. We don't know when the stock market's going to go up again. And we don't know what will happen with gas prices in the future and things like that. There's a lot of things that are always uncertain. So everything that happens in our economy is in uncertainty. What Keynes discovered is that if you put money in the bank because you're afraid of the future, and somebody else puts money in the bank and they're afraid of the future, and businesses are afraid to invest, that money is just going to sit there. And everything will have what we call a paradox of thrift. That the economy will generally gradually descend into a downward spiral, and there's nothing we can do about it unless government comes in and does something for it. They can take that money that you put in the bank, borrow it and put it and spend it and put people to work, which is what's happening today. We're going to build new construction projects. We're going to give people more help with their health insurance when they're unemployed. We're going to give them more money to help them with their unemployment benefits that they're going to put back into the economy. And that spending is going to help that business that a number of you want to start this year. It's going to help you go forward and be more successful. Thank you.